I became a writer um, when I started writing, I guess, but like most writers, I've written since I was a little girl. I did write things as a kid. I joined a creative writing club in junior high school. I took creative writing courses in high school and in college, so I've always written. I was probably most inspired by reading books that I really liked. I mean, children's books, fairy tales, whatever, that excited me and made me feel interested in the world, and then I wanted to do that myself, to write myself. And then, you know, various teachers were inspiring as far as encouraging their young students to write. Not in particular, not the way the teachers did. Not the way the teachers did, no. I've written 6 novels and 1 memoir. The memoir is my most recent book. It's it's called Sempre Susan, and it's a memoir of Susan Sontag. And I've written a number of short stories, but I haven't published any collection of stories. I don't think of myself as writing for a particular audience. I always think that I'm writing for the reader, hoping when I write that what I'm writing is going to appeal to the reader. It's going to be interesting and maybe help illuminate something about our world to that reader. But I don't have an agenda. I don't, you know, there isn't anything when I write either the fiction or the nonfiction. I'm not trying to convince anybody of any particular point of view. As a fiction writer, basically, I'm trying to tell a story, and I'm hoping that the story will be engaging enough to keep the reader reading and make the reader want to write something else that I may have written, or something else that somebody else has written. But no, I don't. There's nothing in. I don't have an idea in my head about the reader in the sense of, oh, I would like to teach the reader how to see this point of view or anything like that. It's really about the story. You know, I'm a storyteller. I don't usually start with an idea because that doesn't really work as well, because you don't really make fiction up out of ideas. You make fiction up out of life and characters. You know, an idea is too abstract. So I won't think, oh, I want to write a story about happiness or something. I might think about writing a story about somebody who is trying to find happiness, or who loses happiness, or who doesn't know what happiness is. So usually I don't start with an idea. I start with a character. I will think about a person that I want to tell a story about. My stories come from everywhere. I mean, I will write about people that I've actually known in real life. Maybe just some glancingly, people that I've run into, people that I've seen, or people that I've actually been close to. I will write about things that come into my head because I've read other writers, or because I've seen films, or because I've heard stories from somebody else. So I get my stories from the world out there, not just from life, from everything. There was a wonderful quote by Isaac Bashevis Singer, who said, if you're a doctor, the good Lord sends you patients. If you're a writer, the good Lord sends you stories. And there's a lot of truth to that, thank goodness. Yeah, I tend to be inspired by almost anything that I read that I'm really excited by. But I will say that I think that things began with fairy tales. If they began when I was little, they began with Grimm's fairy tales and other fairy tales. I was very, very, very excited by fairy tales when I was a little kid, much more than your typical children's book. But children's literature is what inspired me. And in fact, there was, for quite a while, I assumed that when I grew up, that's what I would be doing, writing children's books, writing for children, even though Grimm's Fairy Tales was not written for children, but in my life, that's what it was. It was something that was read by children. I do try to write every day. I do pretty much write every day. Ideally, first thing in the morning. If that doesn't work out, I try to get to it at some point during the day. But that's really about it. I write every day. You know, I do some of it on the computer, some of it by longhand. But it's a pretty straightforward process. Oh, I've read readers many times because I've been on book tour, and some of these readers show up at various readings. I've participated in writers' conferences, for example, the Breadloaf Writers' Conference and others, where I'll meet readers. So yeah, it's something that I have done. I also receive email from readers, so I have correspondence with readers too. So yeah, I am in contact with readers. Yeah, my advice to young writers is to read as much as possible, particularly of the kind of thing that you want to write. So if you want to write fiction and you want your fiction to get better and better, the thing to do is read a lot of fiction, particularly of those writers whom you love, of those writers who actually are the ones who make you want to write, and also to try and write every day.